listening to Combat Sports UK.
Combat Sports UK.
Welcome to the Octagon MMA podcast, brought to you by Combat Sports UK, and I'm joined by the face and the voice of Octagon MMA, Mr. Brian Lacey. Look at that beautiful Friday morning face. Sleep-deprived face.
Oh, my God. Listen, you know the real story, but what we'll tell the people is that I was so excited about doing this podcast that I just could not sleep. It was like Christmas Day coming at me when I was a kid, mate. So I get a chance to spend the morning with you, my friend.
What could be better? What could be better?
What could be better? Exactly. There we go. That's what we're saying.
Now, we are here to preview Octagon 70, of course, but it's been a minute since we last spoke, and I think it would be remiss of us to not reflect on a few things that have happened since the last time we spoke in Octagon, because there's been some mad shit. Firstly, the last time we spoke was Octagon 68 to look ahead to the heavyweight title fight between Will Fleury and Lazar Todev. And my goodness, we said that fight could go. I don't think anyone expected to go the way that it did. That's one of the best heavyweight fights I've ever seen. Just unbelievable heart, character, guts, determination from both men. And there was that split second, that short window in the fifth round when Fleury got clipped, and I thought, oh my God, he's going to do it.
It was so mad being there because, heavyweight fights, especially when you get, when you're in certain promotions, the divisions are so thin that it's hard to get real, well-rounded talent. And these guys, they showed what it meant to them. Like Will Fleury, what an 11 months. 11 months since he signed for Octagon, going through the division at light heavyweight, beating Carlos Vermola in front of 20,000 people, daring to jump up to fight Lazar Todev. And Todev is so unique as a heavyweight. The way he moves, the power he's got, his takedown defense as well, which is which we highlighted on the broadcast. Will was the first person in Octagon to complete the takedown on him.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, for me, it was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, on the night, there's a winner and loser, and Fleury walks away with the hardware. But it certainly felt like one of those occasions where, apart from the change to his record, Todev didn't lose that night either, and he's going to stay right in the mix for contention at future opportunities at the heavyweight title, because his stock only went up after that incredible performance, in my view.
Yeah, it was great. It was great, and I was so proud of Will, and so happy that the fight gave us as much as it did, because all the drama that was with the heavyweight title before with Hatif and the cancellation. So it was beautiful and crazy to watch.
It really was. And speaking of Will Fleury, there's a young man who's just made his promotional debut, who has got Will Fleury firmly set in his sights, and we have to talk about him. He is the sensation that is Frederick Vosgröner, the German Neanderthal, a jiu-jitsu phenom, and what an incredible rise and explosion of star power that young man has, from about 9,000 or 10,000 followers on Instagram to making his Octagon debut in Germany. And now he's got over 150,000 followers. It's being mobbed in the streets, in the shopping malls, with everyone wanting to take photographs with him after one MMA fight. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it was. He's so unique. Everything about him is different. The way he walks, the way he talks, just his persona, that whole Neanderthal thing, which he fits so well, he's from that region, but when you see him and you see him walking around, and he's such a humble guy, but then what he did in the cage, it was one of the most unique, that's the word I'll use, forms of attack I've ever seen. And he broke Yorick Montagnac. There's a point where you looked at Yorick and there's a look in his eyes when he finally got hold of him, where he was like, what do I do? What do I do? And then it was just a matter of time before that jiu-jitsu kicked in. But to go from 9,500 followers to now nearly 160,000 in, we're talking just less than 2 weeks out from that fight, is incredible. And I look at Octagon, and we talk about the fights that have happened this start of this year. You look at the stars we've got. Max Holzer headlined his first event, and that was crazy as well. I'm sure we'll have a little word about that. Vosgröner coming through. You've got Alina Daslana coming through as well. You've got, within 4 months of Octagon kicking off 2025, we have got 3, potentially 4 huge new stars in this promotion, and Vosgröner is one that I have never seen the like of it, as in just the way he's captured the fans how he's catapulted himself through our platform into that spotlight. He's getting interviews on RTL Plus. He's you see him doing seminars all the way around. He's got funny stuff going on. I don't know if you saw the video he's been doing. You know, when that's that old social media thing where someone bumps past and he turns around and then he drops his hood and it's Boz Grone. And I was just like, he is completely in on this.
He's cracked it. He's just already. And that's the thing, is he didn't win with some crazy highlight reel knockout, the kind of things that grab your attention and go viral. It was obviously unique, as you said, relentless his way of going about it. But people are buying into him as the person. So it's not a gimmick. It's him as the individual, the star power that he has. It's remarkable.
And he's already now signed to go to the stadium. So within two fights
at Eden, ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go against Aslan. What's his name? Lucas Aslan, the Cobra. He fought Carlos Romola back at Octagon 45. And he's a tough test. Carlos couldn't finish him. Carlos could not finish him. He got mounted multiple times. There's points where Aslan had reversed him. So it's not an easy task. It's definitely striker versus grappler again. Yep. But now he will have, catapulted himself into the German spotlight. And now with the Czech-Slovak scene, and you know how they take to their fans, their fighters, and how the fans follow them. It's mad to see, and it's beautiful, my friend.
It really is. You mentioned his name before. One more thing. It wouldn't be an Octagon MMA event without some sort of chaos. As you mentioned, Max Holzer keeping his undefeated record, tapping out Dennis Ilbay, and then some, let's say, extracurriculars after the fight was waved off by the referee. What was that like, sitting cage side, seeing that unfold?
It was very difficult writing an invoice for the extra bit of commentary I had to do outside the cage at the same time as the event was going on. Yeah, it was one of these moments, and it's hard to describe exactly how the whole arena reacted to that. So obviously he beat Ilbay. He kissed him on the back of the head, gave him a little thrust of the hips, and Ilbay is not that guy. He just got back up and he came running at him. But there was a point where, when the fight's finished, the doctors and the cutman stepped straight in, and I watched this happen. So I saw Ilbay get up, Holzer start running, and I saw the cutman. And if you jump back to the video, it's a wonderful little sidestep our cutman does, because I saw the cage door open, I saw him sidestep, and in my head I already saw Holzer going out, and I was like, no. And then he flew out, and I honestly thought, because it's concrete floor, dude.
It could have gone really bad.
It could have gone really badly, but he went flying over. And there's so much that was not good about that. And I think we've Andre and Pavel talked about it in the cage. They also talked about it at the press conference afterwards. Ilbay and Holzer very much recognised. And again, when you look at Germany and how the sport has taken off with Octagon being there, they don't want it. They are, reaping the benefits of what this landscape now looks like, the opportunities they've now got. Being on RTL Plus, having something like that happen on the main event where the crowd are also involved, and it wasn't a good look. But I think they came out and they spoke, and they've apologised. And it was one of those moments where I've got friends in America and Australia and places like that, and they were sending me clips or memes or things like that, and I was like, oh, this is legit viral. So on one event we had just two mad moments, but you look forward, and again when I look at the other German events coming, Munich, Hamburg, Frankfurt coming in September, all of those, the ticket sales went flying up.
Everyone went, it's a real tough thing, because you don't want to see it. It's not a great look, as you said, but inevitably it's put more eyes on it. And and so Andre and Pavel have got to be very conflicted. Like, they don't want to promote and encourage that sort of behavior and activity, but at the same time, it's certainly helped them in the build of the events.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. So Andre and Pavel are very, with the line. They just don't want that. That's not the mission of Octagon. If you hear about how they talk about promoting the sport, changing the perception in the public eyes, that line doesn't change. What I will say, though, is there's a marketing manager just a little bit below who was like,
come on, boys.
We was going, oh, this is terrible. Refresh tickets. Refresh.
Yeah, your marketing manager's Christmas bonus was already sorted in April.
it was mad, but yeah, well, what a life. We've already talked about one other MMA story outside of this, so yeah, MMA is the gift that keeps on giving for sure.
It certainly is. Let's move on to the card at hand, Octagon 70. It's going down in the very historical thermal city of Karlovy Vary on the 26th of April. First question, most importantly, are you packing your trunks?
Packing my trunks. I've been told that because I've never been there before. In fact, quite a lot of the Octagon staff have never been to this city. So they've told us the spas are fantastic. They told us the restaurants. They said there's lots of Russian flats that are now available to buy. So I might, invest in some property while I'm out there.
Why not?
But I'm excited, mate. It's a new city. I find it. The card that it's got, especially because it's a new city and we've just done Dusseldorf 15,000, Dortmund close to 15,000. We've got these other ones getting bigger and bigger, and I think this one is 9,000. But look at the card it's got.
It's fantastic. I was just going to say, even though the originally slated main event has fallen off, Jack Cartwright unfortunately having to withdraw with injury. Just going through this card, and I'm like, there's so many great fights. It just speaks volumes to the quality of the card put together, and also the excitement and quality matchmaking that the Tip Sport Game Changer brings as well. So yeah, let's start at the top. The main event. The new main event sees the strawweight championship on the line, with UFC and Invicta veteran defending champion Mallory Martin taking on French woman Eva Duarte. What are your thoughts on this particular fight?
I think it's a difficult fight for both these girls because Mallory Martin is, rejuvenated. She's on that win streak. The last loss she had was Katarina de Lista. That was in her debut for Octagon.
And she's avenged it.
She's avenged it, but not just avenged it. I watched that first fight, and de Lista was so far ahead of her in the striking, the takedown defense, dominated every second of every round in that first fight. And then I was like, is it too soon for that gap to be closed? And Mallory Martin, excelled in the stadium, excelled in the backyard of Katarina de Lista, completely came, well prepared, huge game plan that was well executed, looked fantastic everywhere. Striking was on point, conditioning was fantastic, takedown defense, and even the way she mixed up some of the takedowns with the striking, it was an absolute picture perfect performance against somebody who was, in my opinion, leagues ahead of her when we last saw them fight. So that was great. But Eva Duarte, she didn't have an amazing last fight in Octagon. But you look at what she's done outside of that. You look at her story. She's a Marine in the French army. She's overcome a lot in her life. It's always been about facing fear. She struggled with massive anxiety when she was younger. She couldn't, talk to people in the room. People thought she was rude. She used to get stutter when she spoke because she got so nervous talking to people. Then she found the military, and I'm a big advocate for the military being able to bring the best out of people. It is sometimes it's the wrong light is shining on it, but this and her story and the confidence she gained through joining the army has shone throughout her life. Now it's something that has changed her world. She's now a physical instructor in the army, and again something that scared the hell out of her because she didn't want to speak in front of people. She didn't want to do that because of the nerves and the anxiety, but she faced it. And then literally she was thinking, and she had the judo background, she'd done combat sports in the military as well. What's the scariest thing I can now put myself through? Stepping in a cage with another trained human being in front of everybody. So her journey and her reason and her why is very different, and the belt will mean something massive to her. I am absolutely sure. But she is somebody that comes, with a steely mindset, a very difficult skill set as well, and she'll see this as she'll be seen as the underdog massively in this fight because of Mallory's last thing. But don't ever count this girl out, never, because look at what she's done with her life. Look at what she's done, outside of the cage. And yeah, for me, Martin's got to be switched on for 5 rounds because Duarte could be the banana skin. We've got down the card Alien Olberg versus Katarina de Lista, which again, it's great to see potential contenders on the same card, so the story can start being told. But do not overlook Eva Duarte in this fight. So I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to that one. And as you said, it's got to be completely focused on the task at hand and not looking at what happens in the fight beforehand and drifting and thinking
Yeah,
about that, because if she
yeah.
switches off for a second, it could all be gone in an instant. So yeah, what a main event. But before that, we've got the four remaining bouts in the Tip Sport Game Changer in the round of eight. And I think it's only right that we start with one of the most entertaining fighters in the organization, Chepo himself. He only
On
knows
the
one way.
planet.
On the planet. Dad, I stand corrected.
Come
You are
on.
indeed right. A 100% finish rate. He is the favorite according to Tip Sport odds, but the man across the cage from him, Erhan Kartal, likes a finish too. So this one feels like it's going to be guaranteed fireworks.
It's Chepo. It is.
Yeah, that's it.
He put this post out this week where he said, "You know what's going to happen? Either I'll finish my opponent, or I will leave that cage on the stretcher." And those are words you kind of hear from some fighters, and it's one of those where you kind of it's just good to say. It sounds good. He lives it.
He walks the walk.
Oh my God! You look at the fights, the finishes. That Jon Tabasiano fight back in Bratislava was one of the most incredible comebacks, and he's built for this stuff. But everyone's not thinking about Erhan Kartal. Everybody's not got their eyes on him at all because they're so focused on Chepo and how dangerous he is. Kartal is legit, and he's got a number of finishes as well. 8 knockouts, 1 submission on his record out of 12 wins. I think he's a more well-rounded fighter. And we've seen with Chepo, there is a definite hole in his game, which is that ground game. We saw it with the Wawrzyniak fight. We've seen it before, even the Jon Tabasiano fight, when he was able to get it to the ground and put Chepo on his back. It's a different fight. And Kartal is somebody who was set to face Chepo last year, back in November in Bratislava. He's had him on his mind. He's seen everybody get the shine, and he will be working hard. He will come ready. He is somebody that fights regularly. He's claimed belts in other promotions, and I think people are massively overlooking him. However, he has got to avoid Chepo's ridiculous power for potentially 15 minutes, which for me, that I would
nightmare fuel.
I would listen. Take my wife, my daughter, all my money. There's my passwords. Do this. Listen, if I work for 1 minute in a cage with Chepo, no, thank you.
Never mind 15.
Exactly. So we'll see. But I love it. It's a great fight, and if Chepo can get through it again, people have already got their eyes on whether Peñas and him will pick each other for the next one. And if they do that again, the Tip Sport Game Changer, what a gift it has been over the last 3 years.
Absolutely. One of the other matchups we've got is the incumbent welterweight champion Jon Sordo taking on former UFC veteran Krzysztof Jotko, who's certainly one of the biggest names in this year's Game Changer and surely one of the favorites. And to be honest, I was surprised that he and the UFC parted ways when they did, because he's got some quality wins on his CV, and he's going to present a huge test for Sordo. But he will never be as confident as he is going into a fight coming off that sensational head kick knockout of Kike Brito to win the belt.
Yeah, Sordo is just special. Like, fighters love him, fans love him. He's never in a dull fight. He's good outside the cage. His interviews are fantastic. His rise from the loss against Bojan Velickovic to then coming back and claiming the belt has been phenomenal. Again, when you look at the last 24 months in Octagon and the stars that have come through, and again through the Tip Sport Game Changer, this tournament leaves a legacy of talent that we are lucky enough that continues in the promotion, and Sordo is one of those beautiful finds, and we're very, very lucky to have him. I was so amazed that we matched him against Jotko to start with, because if you are looking for a test stylistically, experience-wise, physically, that could nullify and take Sordo out, this is the guy. 17 fights in the UFC, got to top 15 in the world, trains next to and has trained next to Dustin Poirier, George Masvidal, Colby Covington, all the monsters that come out of American Top Team. That's where he's based. That's where he sharpens his tools. And he's been quiet. He's not a big talker. He's not a flash sort of guy that's going to trash talk or do any of that sort of stuff. He is just very hard to beat in the cage. You look at that record, like you say, there's a lot of decisions on there, but people have just not been able to unlock a blueprint for how to beat this guy. And he could come in and, like Mark Hulm did in the last fight, in one fight, people could start saying, this could be the guy. So I'm interested, intrigued is the word that I will use for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And just going back to Serdu's win, I want to know, has Kite Brito reached out to either you or Luke Barnett for putting on maybe the worst case of the commentator's curse of all time? Because about 6 seconds before he's in an unconscious heap, you were looking, he's looking so comfortable. He's done ever so well. He's looking perfect. Bang, see you later. Good night. It's your fault. This is your fault.
It's 100%. And I thank the Lord Jesus Christ that he hasn't taught Serdu English, because not Serdu, Brito English, because I'm sure if he does unravel that, because that clip has been played quite a lot as well. That's the thing. Sometimes it's just the finish, but sometimes they play a bit before, and I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, what a knockout though. What an absolute way to win that title, you know.
Yeah, phenomenal. We've also got Samuel KRIŠTOFIČ taking on Dominik Humburger. KRIŠTOFIČ, of course, coming off that career-defining win over Vermola. Just how much of a star has he become in Slovakia after that? Because I can only think when you knock out a legend of the game like that, your star goes vertical.
Yeah, well, you look at him and he has so many big fights in Octagon. He's always been either, you know, in contention or a big character that is on the card. He's got star quality without that finish, and he was always, you know, good at the socials. His fights have been great. He's fought all the way from welterweight all the way up to light heavyweight, back to middleweight. But that was different, you know, the way he finished that fight, and I think the way that Vermola gave him no respect that he could do that to him. You know, that beef was building since the Octagon Challenge series. That was something that, and Vermola really didn't think he was in his class. And sometimes this sport teaches you lessons in the worst way. And for KRIŠTOFIČ, it was, like you said, it was career defining. That highlight will live forever. And you know, he hasn't fought since it. There's been some stuff keeping him out of the cage. But now for him to come back against Humburger trains with Vermola. The way Humburger was announced in Octagon was pretty interesting as well, from KSW the night before, stepping into the Octagon cage the following night to say, I'm now here, I'm now on this promotion, I want this fight. And for me, it's also this, maybe, depending on if the Game Changer continues next year, this could be the last chance for a Czech or a Slovak to win the Tip Sport Game Changer, to have their name etched on that title. Because if it doesn't continue next year, and if anything else happens, the fact that it's been outsiders, you know, so far that have had their name on a promotion which has been built in the Czech and Slovak market, I think there's a lot more than just the win at stake in this one.
Yeah, it's certainly legacy on the line. And then the last bout that we do have in the Tip Sport Game Changer round of 8 is former interim champion Piotr Wawrzyniak taking on.
There you go. Close enough.
It's a mouthful. My Polish pronunciations aren't too great, so apologies, Piotr. But taking on Marek Mazuch. Am I right in saying Mazuch had a boxing fight under the Octagon banner as well?
Yeah, so he fought, and he is the only guy in all combat sports ever to knock out Apollo Silva. And that's Apollo with over 40 bouts. You know, title challenger here, also current and reigning defending pillow fighting champion. I don't know if you know about that. In America, he's the only guy in the pillow fighting league to have a knockout with a pillow. But Mazuch, he just hits different. If you watch that fight back, it was the same fight card that Vermola fought Marpo on, and Apollo was dominating. Like, Mazuch is busted up at the start of at the end of the first round. Then he comes out in round 2 and he just does one thing different, which is move his head so that when Apollo misses, he gets the chance to catch him. And when he catches him, it's just a different power. And we've seen that through his fights with David Zawada, through his fights throughout Octagon. He's got that death touch. He connects and people go to sleep. So yeah, and I think Wawrzyniak is again a more maybe well-rounded fighter. You look at that fight with Kinsel. He was doing extremely well against Patrick Kinsel until he lost So I think he's going to look to try and get this to the ground. But Mazouk is in a very confident place. He has been working that takedown defense. And, he is, potentially a dark horse in this, because if he can finish the fights quickly, and part of the game with the game changer is getting through the fights without injuries.
Yep.
Because it's 4 fights in a year. It's high level fights, and they're fast turnarounds. If he just goes out and bangs people out in the first minute,
yeah.
he could have a €300,000 check in his pocket for less than 5 minutes work this year. So that would be very impressive indeed.
That's called living the dream. But certainly when someone's got that kind of just, touch of death power, the fight is on for every single second of the 15 minutes. They're never out of it. And that's what makes this particular one so exciting. And, we're wrapping up the final 4 fights in the first rounds of the game changer, and it just gives us some mouthwatering matchups into the second round and later parts of the tournament. I mean, totally. Just so much to look forward to. Of course, there's a few other fights on this card. It is quite stacked from the top to the bottom. Any other particular fights that you would like, that you think people should be paying particular attention to?
There's 2, Kalashnik versus Kurtesh, and then Ducis versus Skor. But Kalashnik Kurtesh, a very high level fight. Both well known in Octagon. I think this will be combined 29 or 30 fights between them in the Octagon cage. Which is outstanding, and they're both in the top 10. They're both, trying to work their way to that title, which is frozen at the minute, with Serdu being in the game changer, and then Skor versus Ducis. It's just fun. It's just fun matchmaking, and with the light heavyweight division having Fleury as the champion now, people like Vosgrone coming in there, Popek versus Langer just round the corner. This is the type of fight where you get that big finish, you do something good on the mic, and you are a fight away from that belt. So I would say those 2 for me are, for them to be on the undercard is goddamn ridiculous, but that's how good this card is.
It certainly is. It all goes down on Saturday night, April 26th, in the historical Czech city of Karlovy Vary. But don't forget, pack your swimmers, Brian. Get yourself a nice little rub down, nice little spa session. It'll be reinvigorating for you.
I need it after this last 24 hours. But I'm excited to get down there, mate. And then obviously we've got the game changer second round picks, which will come after that. So you've got Mick Stanton in there for the UK, Engizek, Peñas, and of course Mark Hulm, who knocked out Michailidis within a round. So for me, after the fight, when we do that press conference, and it's always interesting, that bit of drama where the fighters get to pick which side of the bracket they get, which opponent they want or they want to avoid. It's going to be fun from start to finish, buddy.
It certainly is, Brian. Always good to chat to you. Thanks so much for your time, and enjoy Saturday night.
I will, mate. Tune in.